Morning. I'm Jim Laughlin, a member of the Unitarian Universalist Society, and your worship associate for this morning. Welcome to this time to gather virtually for music, inspirational words, reflection, and connection. If you are visiting our service today, welcome. We hope you find this service meaningful. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't all believe the same things, but we turn to 6 sources for our living tradition. One of those sources is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Today, that source is relevant as we reflect on wonder, flashes of insight, and the possibilities for renewal in this new year.
Welcome. I'm Reverend Lois Cole, Community Minister of UUS. And it's good to be with you this morning, with the folks here and all of you out there. In these times of change, it is important to be together as a spiritual community and gain sustenance, nourishing ourselves and each other. To be together as members of a covenantal faith that expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and support each other. To be together and affirm that even when we cannot yet be together in body, this congregation remains strong and connected. To affirm that we have faith and hope in this congregation, in each other, and in the ways we continue to grow together in the challenges of life. And to affirm that wherever any of us is on our life's journey, whether we come to worship with joy in our hearts, or weighed with burdens, in need of rest, or searching for people to engage and struggle with us, we are glad, and this community is glad, that we are here. And our call to worship is Listen by Jessica Purple Rodella. Listen to the silence. Listen to the wind. Listen to the stars. Hear trees dance to the beat of your neighbor's heart. Dance to the rhythm of your childhood dreams. Sing and hum a wordless song to the tune of your rushing blood, and pray. Pray with a fervor that makes you sweat through January snow. Pray with a fervor that gives you chills in July. Shout your prayer like a howl till the sound of your soul touches clouds and haunts the moon. Come, let us howl our hallelujahs. Come, let us pray and sing and celebrate. Come, let us worship together. Our opening hymn is hymn 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. For those of you who are here, please sing softly into your mask, hum, or move your hands or body with the music. If you're at home, feel free to sing as loudly as you like and howl your hallelujahs.
Hallelujah.
As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship, to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. Each week, we light a candle for justice and healing. We hold space for understanding of our inner independence, that our liberation is bound up with every other person's liberation. Our feelings of rage and heartbreak over the ongoing pandemics of illness and racism, the devastation of climate chaos, and the waves of trauma washing over the world. We light this candle to help us hold space together for processing what is happening in our lives and in our world, and to remind ourselves that together we are creating resilience and hope. We light this candle that we may not be numbed or lost to injustice, devastation, illness, and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love together to continue engaging with the struggles for liberation, justice, and healing. Today, as we light this candle, we are particularly mindful of our ongoing bone weariness facing us today. The ongoing contagious plague that surrounds us, the ferocity of the icy winter, and the feelings of isolation. After I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, and perhaps to lift up prayers.
All right, today I'm going to read the legend of Old Befana by Tommy DePaula. This is a legend from Italy. In a small house on the outskirts of a small village in Italy lived Old Befana. She lived all alone and she wasn't very friendly. If any people dared to knock at her door, she never asked them in. "I have no time for visiting," Old Befana would say. The children didn't like her either. "Cranky old lady," they said, "and the way she is always sweeping." That was true. Every day, every morning and afternoon, Old Befana would sweep with her broom. She swept her little house, she swept her front step, and she even swept her walk all the way down to the road. Sometimes a delicious smell of things baking would drift from Old Befana's house. "Whom does she bake for?" her neighbors would ask. And some nights They thought they heard her singing lullabies. Crazy old Befana, everybody would call her. One evening, old Befana had eaten her dinner and swept her kitchen clean. She began to get ready for bed. She locked the door and shuttered the windows. Then she climbed into her bed, blew out the lamp, and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, old Befana woke up. The room was bright. "How can that be?" she asked. "My lamp is out, my windows are shuttered, but still my house is filled with light." She got out of bed and crossed the cold floor. When she opened the shutter, a sudden burst of light poured into the room. In the eastern sky, she saw a brilliant star, which seemed to grow before her eyes. "Humph!" said old Befana, closing the shutter as tightly as she could. "How am I ever going to get my sleep when the dark has turned to day?" All night she tossed and turned. She didn't sleep a wink. At dawn, old Befana got up and dressed. She ate her breakfast, then took her broom, as she always did, every day, every morning and afternoon. She swept her little house. She swept the front step, and she even swept the walk all the way down to the road. When she neared the road, old Befana stopped and listened. She heard bells twinkling. "It's probably just the wind," she said. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Again she heard the bells. "It's probably just the birds singing. Sweep, sweep, sweep." Once more she heard the sound. "My old ears are playing tricks," she said. Sweep, sweep. Suddenly, over the hill came the most glorious procession old Befana had ever seen. Camels, horses, elephants, and people. A splendid sight. Halfway back road there were 3 royal-looking men, dressed in jeweled robes, wearing crowns upon their heads. The procession stopped. The 3 kings got down and came up to a frowning old Befana. "Please," said one of the kings in a royal voice, "is this the way to Bethlehem?" "How can I say?" said old Befana. "I never heard of it." And she began to sweep. "We are searching for the child," said the second king. "Do you know of him?" "There are many children," said old Befana, sweeping still. "But there is one that is a king," said the third. "I know nothing of royal matters," she said. "Our books have told us," said the kings, "that when a bright new star appears, the child king will be born in Bethlehem." "The star I have seen," said old Befana. "It kept me awake all night. Now, if you will excuse me, I have work to do." The procession started up again. "Old woman," called a boy who was leading a camel by, "you should come with us. This child, this baby king, has come to change the world. He came for us. He comes for the poor. We are bringing him gifts." Old Befana paused. She watched the procession wind down the road. "A child king," she muttered. "Bethlehem. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Coming to change the world. Coming for the poor. Well, heaven knows old Befana is poor. Sweep, sweep. Gifts. Only a child." Old Befana went back into her house. "Perhaps I should go see him. But what do I have to take him?" She put down her broom. She got out some butter and sugar and flour. She blew on the fire and added some wood. And she began to sing. She baked all day. She didn't even sweep. It was almost dark when she finished. Then she filled a basket with all the cakes, cookies, and candies she had made. "I'll take a few coals in a little pot to keep the cookies warm," she said. She put on a shawl and opened the door. "And I'll take along my broom to sweep the room clean, for the baby king's mother will be tired." Old Befana stopped. She hadn't swept all day. "It won't take me long," she said. She put down the basket and began to sweep. She swept her little house, She swept her front step, and she even swept her walk all the way down to the road. Then she locked her door, and she gathered up her basket. She pulled on her shawl around her and took up her broom. Old Befana was on her way at last. She ran at first, ran and ran as fast as her legs would carry her. The sun had set, but still she ran. Now the stars shone brightly. Her breath came short, her old legs ached, but still she ran, a little bit slower. At last she sat beside the road. Old Befana could run no more. I should have left earlier. I'll never catch up, she cried. And where's Bethlehem? She closed her eyes and gave a long sigh. I'll never find the baby king. Suddenly, the sky was filled with light, and heavenly angels sang, "Glory to all men, the new king is born. Tonight is the night of miracles." Old Befana rose to her feet. Tell me, where is he?" she cried, picking up her basket and broom. "I bring gifts to the child." She began to walk, then run again. "This is the night of miracles," the angels sang once more. "Wait!" she shouted. "You must help me. Show me the way to Bethlehem." Old Befana began to feel lighter. She ran faster and faster, so fast it took her breath away. She was running in the sky. It was a night of miracles. Old Befana never caught up. She never found the child in Bethlehem, but she is still searching still to this day. Every year on the Feast of the Three Kings, January the 6th, Old Befana runs across the sky. She visits all children while they sleep and leaves them gifts from her basket. Then she takes her broom and sweeps the room all clean. "For after all," says Old Befana, "I never know which child might be the baby king of Bethlehem."
Beyond Hope by Oliver Berkman, from 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. The key to getting the hang of hopelessness lies in seeing that things aren't going to be okay. Indeed, they are already not okay, on a planetary level or an individual one. The Arctic ice is melting. The pandemic has already killed millions and crashed the economy. The question of how ill-qualified you can be for an American presidency yet still end up in the White House has already been definitely answered. Thousands of species are already gone. As one woman said in the New York Times article about city dwellers learning how to survive in the woods on deer meat and berries, people say, "Oh, when the apocalypse comes, what are you talking about? It's here." The world is already broken. And what's true of the state of civilization is equally true of your life. It's always already the case that you will never experience a life of perfect accomplishment or security. And your 4,000 weeks have already been running out. It's a revelation, though. When you begin to internalize all this even a little bit, the result is not despair, but an energizing surge of motivation. You come to see that the terrible eventuality against which you spent your life, subliminally tensing your muscles because it would be too appalling to experience, has already happened. And yet you are still alive, at least for the time being. Abandoning hope is an affirmation, the beginning of the beginning. American Buddhist nun Pema Chodron says, "You realize that you never really needed the feeling of complete security you've previously felt so desperate to attain." This is liberation. Once you no longer need to convince yourself that the world isn't filled with uncertainty and tragedy, you're free to focus on doing what you can to help. And once you no longer need to convince yourself that you'll do everything that needs doing, you're free to focus on doing the few things that count.
I invite you to enter into a spirit of meditation and reflection as you listen to these words by Another Way, Jan Richardson. And if you wish, you may gently close your eyes. You have looked at so many doors with longing, wondering if your life lay on the other side. For today, choose the door that opens to the inside. Travel the most ancient way of all, the path that leads to the center of your life. No map but the one you make yourself. No provision but what you already carry, and the grace that comes to those who walk the pilgrim's way. Speak this blessing as you set out, and watch how your rhythm slows, the cadence of the road drawing you into the pace that is your own. Eat when hungry, rest when tired, listen to your dreaming, welcome detours as doors deeper in, pray for protection, ask for the guidance you need. Offer gladness to the gifts that come, and then let them go. Do not expect to return by the same road. Home is always another way, and you will know it not by the light that waits for you, but by the star that blazes inside you, telling you where you are holy, telling you that where you are is holy and you are welcome here. my father would try to cultivate a wonder and knowledge for stars in our family, calling us out onto the porch at night to look at a particularly brilliant star-studded sky. He would point out the constellations that he could identify, trying to get us to see such celestial bodies as Orion and the Bull. I never got beyond being able to identify the Big Dipper, but as an adult, I would encounter those moments when a starry night came into sharp focus, its beauty awakening something in me and silencing a jumble of self-concerned thoughts. The same moments of enchantment I experienced as a child. I was raised Methodist, and the wise men, or magi, or three kings from Orient are following yonder star, weren't much of a focus beyond December 25th. Though my parents would talk about waiting 12 days to take down the Christmas tree, this wasn't an abiding rule. It could happen before or after, and often was a task as lackluster as the drying tree losing its needles. Yet for many cultures, the Christian season of Christmas culminates on January 6th, the feast of the Epiphany. It is a time for special foods and gifts, family gatherings and festivities, and the celebration of the story of the Magi in one form or another, like the delightful Italian Christmas story we heard today, the legend of Old Befana. The Magi are most likely Zoroastrian priests from Persia, well-versed in astrology, and have known a certain prophecy about a star which would herald the birth of the King of the Jews. They see that star, and they go to Jerusalem, asking for the baby King of the Jews, getting the attention of the occupying Roman King Herod, who is naturally alarmed and tries to deceive the wise men by inviting them to look diligently for the child and to come back and let him know of the location so that he too can pay homage himself. The star guides the Magi who find the baby Jesus and give amazing presents to him. But a dream warns them not to return to Herod, but to leave by their own homes another way. In Christianity, the Epiphany is the realization of baby Jesus as not only the awaited Messiah for Jewish people, but the Christ, the light for all nations, as symbolized by the Magi, the foreigners, the non-Jews, who cross borders and travel a vast distance at some incredible risk to pay homage to him and are transformed by the encounter. I think perhaps because of the Christian epiphany, the word epiphany, which originally comes from Greek epiphania, manifestation or striking appearance, originally referred to the manifestation or insight of the divine, as in religious epiphanies. It became more broadly interpreted as an experience of sudden and striking realization and could be used to describe a religious or philosophical or scientific discovery and be applied in any situation in which an enlightening realization allows a problem or situation to be understood from a new and deeper perspective. James Joyce used it as a literary device in his short story collection, Dubliners. In every story, there is a protagonist who comes to the sudden recognition that changes their view of themselves or their social conditions. D.H. Lawrence said people can do anything with an idea, but Epiphany is more than an idea. It is truly a new experience that changes everything. Before you can do anything with it, it does something to you. There's some element of mystery that lingers with the word epiphany, as an epiphany can be seen to come out of nowhere. In a passage from his autobiographical notes, Albert Einstein wrote about an early wondering he had as a child when his father showed him a compass. That the needle behaved in such a determined way did not fit at all with the world of concepts already fixed within him at the young age of 4 or 5. I can still remember, or at least believe I can remember, that this experience made a deep and lasting impression on me. Something deeply hidden had to be behind things. Einstein would have other eureka moments. Unplanned and unpredictable, which would nonetheless assist him in work he had been doing for some time. In 1905, when he spent an evening unsuccessfully trying to reconcile Newtonian physics and Maxwell's equations, he took a streetcar home, and looking behind him at the receding clock tower in Bern, he realized that if the car sped up at the speed of light, the speed of sound, the clock would slow down. This epiphany would allow him to understand special relativity. I like that Einstein, the world's greatest scientist, acknowledged wonder with epiphany. I think we can all think of times where we were transported in a moment of profound wonder through stargazing, through art or science or worship, or even in religious conversion, in the journey to becoming a Unitarian Universalist, through the expression of love or the arrival of a newborn, or as witness to the death of a beloved. We can all recall such moments, yet wonder doesn't come easily when in a state of fear. And these are scary times. As Jim read to us from Oliver Burkeman's 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals Today, the world is already broken, and it's hard to see a way to fix it or to deny the up-close reality of uncertainty and tragedy and death. And we have to start getting the hang of hopelessness. We may wish for an epiphany to save us. But even before the pandemic, how was our relationship to wonder? Oliver Burkeman would say that our relationship to time may have limited our ability to access wonder. If you were a medieval farmer, even on your most exhausting days, says Berman, it probably wouldn't have occurred to you that you had too much to do, that you needed to hurry, or that your work-life balance was wrong. Workers got up with the sun, and they slept at dusk, the lengths of their days varying with the seasons. There was no need to think of time as something abstract and separate from life. Notwithstanding the many real privations of his existence, the peasant farmer might have had sensed a luminous, awe-inspiring dimension of the world around him. The feeling of timelessness that Richard Rohr, a contemporary Franciscan priest and author, calls living in deep time. At dusk, the country dweller might have sensed spirits whispering in the forest, along with the bears and wolves plowing the fields. He might have felt himself one tiny part of a vast sweep of history in which his distant ancestors were almost as live to him as his own children. Berkman adds that we still occasionally encounter islands of deep time today, in those moments when we slip into a realm where there is enough of everything, where we are not trying to fill a void in ourselves or the world. The boundary separating the self from the rest of reality grows blurry, and time stands still. The clock does not stop, of course, but we do not hear it ticking. One of my favorite authors is the late spiritual teacher John O'Donohue. And he talks about another kind of neglect of wonder, the wonder of one's own presence in the world. He says that people are frightened of the wonder of their own presence. They are dying to tie themselves into a system or a role or to an image or to a predetermined identity that other people have actually settled on for them. Many of us get afraid and we eventually compromise. We settle for something that is safe rather than gauging the danger and wildness that is in our own hearts. In thinking about epiphanies, I've been thinking about my own relationship to Epiphany. It's easier for me to see my relationship to wonder. But when I was thinking about John O'Donohue saying that many of us don't acknowledge the wonder of our own presence, I was reminded of a young patient, a young woman I met at the hospital. I'm a chaplain at the UUS Stead Family Children's Hospital. She was a patient discouraged from multiple admissions to the hospital. So I asked her what gave her strength when facing a difficult situation in the past, in case there was something that she might draw from to bring comfort or healing. She said almost apologetically that she was Catholic in background but not practicing. I rephrased the question because she obviously thought I was wanting to talk about religion or God, and asked if there were resources, practices, passions, hobbies, pastimes that could boost her spirits. And she mentioned that she has kept a journal in the past. She said that when she writes in her journal, she'll lose a sense of time. She just feels it. And I got excited because I often teach a little meditation group called Writing as a Spiritual Practice, and we focus on some spontaneous journal writing along the lines of Julia Cameron's Artist's Way, 3 pages, where she says you write in a continued flow for 3 pages, getting all venting if you want, getting everything out. And the point is to get to the other side of our fears or negativity or moods, our self-criticism. The point of writing is to clear space so that you can connect with that still small voice within. And this kind of journal writing, when I think about it, fosters epiphanies, the eurekas or ahas, the dawning realizations and flashes of insight. I made sure that young woman got a journal. She was pretty excited about. So I leave you with my story of Epiphany that happened several weeks ago. Central to the story is an infant who tragically had been beaten and would not thrive without a vent. He lay in his bed, and we would come and read stories and sing to him. We noticed how much he liked that by the improvement of his pulse rate or his blood pressure on the monitor. On the day that he was to be an organ donor, his siblings and foster parents came to say their farewells. And then when it was time, the staff, the nurses, the doctors, the housekeepers, the physical therapists, child life, myself, gathered in the hall and stood in two long lines, one on each side. And it was just this tremendous moment of silence and reverence as he was rolled past, his power song playing. That was a moment of transcendence, of experiencing the holy and the oneness of all that is, as we honor this infant, significant as any king, as he finished his brief and courageous journey. So may it be.
How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. When a month has 5 Sundays, the social justice team identifies a special need to support the extra week of the offerings. The 5th Sunday offering for January will be taken today to support the families in Kentucky that were impacted by the recent tornadoes. Donations will provide relief for families most in need through the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund. On the screen, you'll see instructions on how to give online, or you make this time to write a check and address an envelope to UUS to be put in the mail. If you're attending a service here in the sanctuary, you can give online, or there is a basket for checks in the atrium. You may assist our community partner, contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses, or contribute toward your pledge to our society. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
Is winter now, the fallen snow has left the heavens all coldly clear. The leafless boughs the sharp winds blow, and all the earth lies dead and drear. And though abroad the sharp winds blow, and skies are chill and frosts are keen, home closer draws her circle now, and warmer glows her light within. Home closer draws her circle now, and warmer glows her light within.
Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence is a part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, you'll have time to join in conversation in the community. Whether you're online or in the sanctuary, after the service, a host will explain that process for that location. If you're at UUS, please join us in the fellowship hall to engage in all activities that are not going to happen. And now, as we close our service, we will sing hymn number 345, With Joy We Claim the Glowing Light. And you at home can sing as loudly as you'd like. Join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
So may we go forth in love and service, strengthened by our time together. May we live open to the moment, inviting wonder, surprised by Epiphany, letting our light shine. Blessed be and amen.